Welcome back, Billiken fans. It's Zach Miller, Peter Hale. This is the Midtown Madness podcast. Pete, just on a macro level, how are you feeling? Just a quick reaction about, how you feel about the Billikens' performance this weekend.
I'm okay. I think you're based on a little pre-chat we did. I think you're in a little bit better shape than I am. I was really down about that Davidson performance. I think I just and we'll get to this, but I just don't know what it is about that team that we just cannot figure out and why they have us so figured out. I mean, it's just so dramatic with them compared to anyone else. Really liked our performance against LaSalle, obviously, and with Bonaventure, a win is a win. And the defensive effort in those first two games, especially and arguably the first 10 minutes of the Davidson game as well, was excellent. So I love to see that. What about you? How are you feeling?
I think at the end of the day, I was disappointed because I was planning on going to DC.
Mm.
But I think in the back of my head, I wasn't hanging my hopes on it. I was happy at a macro level that we really competed at a level that we knew we could. Minus obviously the Davidson performance. I thought the Davidson performance was just really lackluster, and I think even the good parts of that performance really kind of ticked me off. The 3-point shooting of Hargrove, empty production. I mean, it's Nesbitt shooting and making 1 3. Like, that drove me up a wall just because if we're going to suck, can we just suck all the way through? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anyway, we'll get into it, I think, more. And before we do, uh, I again want to talk to you guys about Wheelhouse Bicycle Shop in Creve Coeur. Whether you're looking for a super nice, top of the line bike like I recently was, or you're just looking to get your kid a bike with some training wheels, or just looking to get one for yourself for the spring and summer months and the fall. Go see Nathan Levanthal first at 770 North New Ballas Rd in Creve Coeur. You can also check them out online at wheelhousebicycle.com. They're also on Facebook and Instagram as well. Go check him out. He really does know his stuff, and he really does care about his customers. Your trip will be well worth it, whether you buy from him or somebody else. But let's get rolling with Thursday's result. This game really not much we can, him and haw about. It's a 71-51 win versus LaSalle. It's a game the Billikens had to win, Pete.
Everybody talks about that dreaded third game. You beat a team 2 times in the regular season, and then you've got to face them a third time in the conference tournament. It can always be that kind of kiss of death. It's tricky. And I just did not feel that way going into this one. I was like, I've seen absolutely nothing from LaSalle this season that scares me. We could lose to anybody on any day. I'm not foolish enough to think that anything's impossible. And like I've said all season, I like Moore. I like Clark. They've got I liked Nickelberry. I think he's kind of given up. But we come out against this team, and it was a laugher from the start. I think it got up to a 33-point lead at one point early in the second half or mid-second half. I cannot say enough about what Okoro did at both ends in this game. Clifton Moore goes 1 for 10 from the field. Okoro, in the meantime, goes for 17 and 13, 2 blocks, just an absolute monster in this game. So methodical, deliberate, effective. They were just hopeless against him. Actually, LaSalle was earlier in the year at LaSalle was one of his better games. I think he had like 19 and 9 or 19 and 7, something like that. So they've had trouble stopping him all year. But yeah, I mean, really the only kind of odd note in this one is when we did go up 33, and it might have been a little bit less than that when we started to take the starters out, and then the second string comes in and the lead vanishes. Well, it didn't vanish, but it goes down to about 17 or so. And then all of a sudden, Yuri and Jimerson and Fred and all these guys have to come back in. So that was a little upsetting, because you'd like to see the second team do a little bit better than that.
Yeah, no, that was really annoying, and you could see Fred Thatch was just not happy.
Right.
with the guys, and that's something again I think they talked about on the broadcast. You want to see from your team leader. He may be only a redshirt sophomore, but he really is the kind of de facto old guy on the roster that's been here for a while. So, and he continues to have success versus LaSalle too.
Yeah.
He seems to really have their number. I mean, I think we have LaSalle's number in general,
Yeah.
but
Certainly this
um,
season.
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The team went. I really thought the team shot well too. 5 of 20 from 3-point range, with 4 of those being Williams in garbage time, just chucking. So
Right.
I mean, this was what it was. It was an appetizer not only for Francis Okoro with Clifton Moore going into potentially Oshuna, well, definitely Oshuna. So I mean, you saw what you wanted to see, and it was definitely, I think, Okoro, the start of Okoro's coming out party in this tournament.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's just a game we had to take care of business, and aside from a few minutes in the middle of the second half, we pretty much did.
Yeah. And Bonaventure got that double bye, so they were waiting for us. And this game was one that I was oddly confident in, and I know I can say that. Uh, Hindsight 2020, but I think most of what had been saying through my own Twitter account and the podcast Twitter account is that you look back at the Billikens history, right? And you, especially that, what was that, the 2013 year when we beat VCU 3 times. I
Yeah.
said it's damn near impossible to beat a team 3 times, and I don't think Bonaventure is that good. I think Bonaventure was good, but I don't think they are 3 times in a year good. I think Davidson is 3 times in a year good, no doubt,
Hmm.
but Bonaventure, no way. How did you feel going into this one?
Well, and yeah, and there's Bonaventure, by the way, popping up on the NIT bracket
I'm a little
as we
behind
pod.
because I have DirecTV Stream, so
Okay.
I'm
Well,
always
yeah, so they're going, it looks like they're going to Colorado. I was hoping an A10 team came up in this part of the bracket, so they didn't put us all on one side. Regardless,
yes,
Bonaventure, you're right. I think that rule is certainly true against two good teams. So we just talked about that against LaSalle, and LaSalle was hopeless against us in all 3 games.
yes.
I meant to look up what we beat them by collectively this season, but I think it was actually over 60, because I know we beat them by 26 and we beat them by 20, and I think we beat them in the high teens in that other game. So, so we beat them by over 60 points in 3 games this year. Regardless, that is not the situation with SLU and Bonaventure. They beat us twice. I wanted to split that series. That was kind of my realistic goal in that one. I really was pretty disheartened when we lost that first one at home, because I know how hard it is to win there with something we haven't done since 2013. Um, and Bonaventure has come on strong of late. I know they've had little injuries kind of coming up all year long, and Oshun rolled an ankle, late in their last regular season game, or second to last regular season game. And there's some question about him, but he played their last game. And, we know that they really only go 5 deep and barely use that bench. But all of that aside, they were picked to win this conference, and that had me nervous going into it, because it's kind of like their last hurrah. I think, I don't think those guys are coming back, and I thought they were just going to give it one more go, and that's kind of what had me nervous about this one. So I wasn't quite as optimistic as you going into it, but this was a game where my heart rate I couldn't slow it down the entire time. It was wire to wire. I pound, like, just heart pounding in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I was pacing. I was in 2019 A10 tournament mode, pacing back and forth in my apartment, watching this one. What do you attribute? Because I mean, this was the quintessential. This was the key game in the Okoro coming out party that was this weekend. What do you attribute the success in this game against Oshuna? I mean, you talked a little bit about an ankle, or an injury to his lower body of some sort. But I mean, do you think this was Okoro? Do you think this was game planning? Do you think it was a combination of Okoro game planning and Oshunahee being a little dinged up? I mean, where do you stand? And what did you see in the game? What did
I
you
did
see from the strategy?
I didn't see anything from Oshuni that led me to believe that he was hobbled. You know what I mean? I'm sure his ankles were taped like they were concrete blocks. Like I'm sure they had those things as taped as they could possibly be. Um, it didn't look like his mobility was an issue. I really just think Okoro played him so much better in this game. And the other thing we were doing, and I think I said this to you as the game was going on, or right after the game or something like that. Um, we did a really good job on the weak side, kind of keeping Oshuni a little honest because there were a lot of layups early in the first half where we'd have shorter guys. Yuri had one, Thatch had, I think, two. Our bigs had a few where we were laying it, we were kind of taking it at Oshuni, but given his 7-8 wingspan or whatever he's got, we did a good job both in Okoro kind of sealing him, and then we'd have guys on the weak side as well, kind of pulling him over, but even before that. So he was always getting to those layups, those shots, just a split second too late to do what he does and block shots, because he's had plenty of games where he blocks 5 or more shots against us. I thought our strategy of going at him was a lot smarter in this game. And I think he wound up with a second foul late in the first half, but not until like 2 minutes or so left. So that wasn't a really big factor. And he looked frustrated offensively. We played him straight up. Again, Okoro did a masterful job the way he did on Moore the day before. The defensive effort from SLU in this one, from beginning to end, was just incredible. I think it all starts there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And you talked about Franco, taking Oshunahee out of the Oshunaahee's defensive posture. I mean, how many times were you watching this game and said, "Great seal by Okoro"? Because I said it all damn game.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love he is getting so good, and it reminds me of Majerus era. Lowe was really really good at sealing off defenders for guys like Mitchell, McCall, and Jet.
He really was. Yeah. I mean, an underrated. Lowe is one of those players where like all of the little things he did kind of have been so overlooked for so long. But yeah, absolutely. Shades of Rob Lowe for sure.
Do you watching this game? We were up, I think 10 at one point, right? I think I
Yeah.
th-
Was that in the late first half or early? No, that
I
late. It was in the first half, I think.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, do you
Oh,
think
it's a
that
blur
there was
already.
an? Do you think there was a little bit of a letdown? Do you think we let them come in? Would you consider this one of the games where we maybe let a lead evaporate? Because I mean, I don't know if I can really be upset with it. I mean, Bonaventure is that good of a team. It's not like we, stopped playing well. It just kind of, basketball's a game of runs. I didn't feel like it was that big of an issue.
No, it really didn't. Um, I guess that, yeah, now that you put it that way, it really didn't strike me as one of those games where we kind of gave up. Yeah, okay, here it is, right in the middle of the second half. We get it's 47-37 with 11 minutes to play, or 10:57. Jimerson hit a three, and that was after a Hargrove dunk. I kind of remember that. Jimerson had another three 2 minutes before that. And then they hit a three not long after, and kind of whittle it down from there. Um, it didn't really feel like, given the way that this game was being played defensively both ways, I didn't think that this was a game where we necessarily coughed it up. Like, I know people have said that, we've said that about Belmont, UAB, Auburn, plenty of other games. You're right. The vibe was totally different here. I think because it was so low scoring. Like it just never really felt real, right? I mean, if that was 68-58, it feels like a different story almost.
Yeah, I thought the Billikens just played really well in this game. Jimerson being, besides, Okoro is going to get the headlines for how he handled Oshunei. Linson, I don't think gets enough credit for the 6 minutes he put in. He had one really nice post move. I believe he beat Oshunei on. It might have been Koulibaly.
Mhm.
But I really liked Martin Linson in this game. Nesbitt got some flack online. I know that, especially given what happened allegedly after the game. I don't even want to touch that. It's so stupid. I can't even stand it. But Jimerson in this one, man. I
Yeah.
mean, what a game for like maybe the game of his one of the games of his career. 40-minute shift, 7 of 14 from the field, including 6 of 9 from beyond the arc. Um, just an outstanding game all the way around when the Billikens really needed it, because you look at the rest of the roster and they go, what, 0 for 5?
0 for 5. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we needed it in this one.
Yeah, we needed every single one that he made. And accusations of him not being able to hit a big shot, I think, are hopefully behind us, because
Yes.
he was not only the only one making shots, but there was some really clutch timing on his shot, on some of his makes in this one. He was excellent. I mean, he really was. He didn't really get it going from mid range or inside at all like he's done in other games. And 20 points is by no means his highest scoring performance of the season. He's had plenty of outbursts, but for him to play 40 minutes, and I know Jimerson can kind of get picked on sometimes defensively, and certainly early in this game, Bonaventure was trying to do that. But to his credit, he really did not budge, and the team defense was such a fantastic effort around him as well. It allowed him to play 40 minutes and be so effective on offense. If we're going back to Nesbitt, 0 for 8 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, I think the 4 fouls might be the bigger story, because I think he was getting incredibly frustrated. I know the way a lot of us were as SLU fans. Some of the calls on him and in general were mystifying to me. I think he was pretty frustrated, and I think um, that may have spilled over a little bit. Not that I want to get into all that lunacy from Twitter either, but
Twitter and lunacy? No.
yeah, the 6 hour outrage cycle that whatever he said to the
It
Bonaventure cheerleaders.
legitimately, like, that is how it kind of rolls. Things will go off for about 5 hours, 5, 6 hours, and then nobody remembers. Like, nobody's talking about it today. Nobody.
No,
I haven't seen
or
one. Or
yesterday,
yesterday, yeah.
yeah.
Um,
So I'm just I'm just I think he was just frustrated, and this is one of those things where he's got a lot to learn. He's got a lot to work on in the off season. He's so talented. I just I've still get really optimistic about what he can do.
he
And he
made
does
some really
again.
nice plays. He had a
That's right.
nice rebound. You just saw what I saw?
No, it hasn't popped up for me yet.
Oh boy, that's an interesting one.
Okay, there we are. St. Louis
Yeah,
NIT 3 seed on the right bracket.
Northern Iowa.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I,
Wow.
I,
And the winner gets BYU or Long Beach State.
yeah.
Hmm.
Take a trip out west.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well,
All right. Back to the show.
yeah.
We'll get into that later. Let's go ahead and run. Well, first of all, I want to point out DeAndre Jones, because I thought he had a really nice game in this one. Nothing too fancy. I think he made one shot. He made a really nice layup.
We're still talking about Bonaventure?
Yes. Yes. Wasn't that him? Wasn't that, or was
No,
that
he
against
he didn't
Davidson?
score in this one.
Oh, sorry. That was against Davidson. He
No,
had,
we got almost nothing off the bench in this Bonaventure game. We
yeah,
almost
that
we
was
almost
okay. Okay. I was going to ask you about that. Okay.
yeah.
Our bet. Do you think that was a concerted effort by Ford to maybe match what Bonaventure does? As far as, I mean, do you think that Bonaventure? I feel like Bonaventure can win because they don't have a lull in their game, right?
Mm.
Whereas, when you bring out your start, do you think Ford was maybe trying to counteract that and not allow their starters to feast on certain guys?
I mean, given what we saw against LaSalle 24 hours earlier, very well, maybe. But I'd have to go back and watch those other two Bonaventure games because I don't remember, like quite what the plus minus was when we were making certain substitutions in that game. But clearly, based on what they had done the day before, and perhaps maybe even more importantly in the previous two Bonaventure games, maybe there are just dudes who get a little more, who just don't match up well with Bonaventure.
Sure.
But starting five against starting five, and Bonaventure had the celebrated starting five coming into this conference season. But this was about as even a heavyweight fight as you could see. I mean, this was, we out Bonaventured out, St. Bonaventure. And I guess we can go ahead and cover it now, but we did get some luck at the very end.
Yeah, let's run through the final play. Actually, hold on. We got some bad luck and some luck, right?
That's very true.
This was the ultimate case of ball don't lie. Because
Mm-hmm.
first of all, Kyle Lofton punched a Coro in the ribs. I'm sorry, that's what happened. Maybe it was a forearm, but it was still closed fist and it was a jab at the ribs. That's not up for contest. However, let's see, I had it up. Oh my God, you're so
The
dumb.
play-by-play.
I got it. Play by play. Okay, so here's how it went down. Okay, with the last bucket made by the Billikens was at 17 seconds. Gibson Jimerson off an assist from Yuri Collins. It was a really nice mid-range jumper, and we did get a little lucky off of that. You had, I believe there was two misses that led up to a jump ball. And the jump ball was in our favor. And that is how we had the ball going into that, the Gibson Jimerson jumper. So he makes a jumper from the baseline, mid-range.
His only 2-pointer of the game.
Yes. 30-second timeout by Bonaventure, I believe.
And this is he makes it at 17. They get it in bounds. Timeouts at the 13-second mark.
Right. Bonaventure draws up a play, and I think I texted you. They want to set up a mid-range jumper because if you've paid attention to any of these three games against St. Bonaventure, the one place they feasted besides Oshuna-Shunahi is the mid-range.
Yeah.
Big time. It ends up being a runner by Jaron Holmes. I was surprised that Jaron Holmes took the shot. I think that says a lot about the Billikens defense. But the ball gets knocked around, and Nesbitt took a lot of flack for not being able to corral this rebound. Okay, fine. Your thoughts?
It was, not the best sequence in general by Nesbitt. And in terms of the contact, between him and Lofton on that rebound, he probably should have had the rebound in the first place.
He's literally just turning around to get the ball.
He
has no idea that Lofton's there.
It's not a call you never see, right? I mean, you do see that call.
Yeah, I think it's for sure a foul, first of all.
In this situation, it's not something you always see called. Refs tend to let that more incidental kind of rebound, collision kind of contact go a little bit more when it's this tight at the very, very end of a game. I don't know. I was really surprised to hear the whistle when it happened, though. I guess I was caught off guard by it.
Absolutely. I was surprised. I wasn't shocked. I thought it was definitely a foul. It stinks that they called it. And I mean, I don't know. I really was kind of convinced he was going to make one of two. I don't know why. I think I was just like, okay, like just one of two.
So you're mentally preparing for overtime.
Yeah, and well, it's funny because I'm watching Barstool Sportsbook live stream because they do like a gambling cave live stream, and one of the guys, Rico Bosco, had the Billikens plus 1.5, and then Jersey Jerry. These people are inconsequential human beings. But he had the over, so he's hoping for overtime, which
Right.
nobody the over was nowhere close to hitting,
Right.
but so they're locked into this, and I I knew I thought he was gonna miss one of two, and I just could not believe he missed both. And to be fair, it's questionable whether he should have even been at the line. I'm not saying he wasn't fouled. I'm saying there was an issue with the clock, Peter.
So this only came to our attention a few hours after the fact, and the first time I saw it, Stu Durando retweeted the guy. I guess Stu said, "Hey, I don't know if he was like back at his hotel room or something like that, but he was like, just what questions do you have?" And this guy, one of the first questions, this guy sends him, John Labello is his name,
Mm-hmm.
a video clip of the last sequence, and Bonaventure, that shot by Holmes, that was kind of from like the A10 logo at the top of the keep in front of the free throw line. As Holmes is dribbling there, he puts up the shot, and the shot like kind of bounces off the rim, and right at about the 3.2 second mark, the clock freezes for about a whole second, for just about 1 second, I think is kind of what we timed it out at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when that foul gets called, on the rebound that Nesbitt goes after, knocks over Lofton, the clock stops at 1.1. They call the foul. Then they go over to the monitors because they want to make sure that the 1.1 is right. Well, then they say, well, we called the foul technically a little earlier, so it's 1.8. So not only did the clock stop at 3.2, and it should have been a whole second shaved off of there, well, now they add another 0.7 seconds on top of it. And look, there may have still been enough time. There probably was a split, 2 to whatever tenths of a second where he would have had time to shoot the free throws. But when he missed the second free throw and got his own rebound and had a putback, he would not have had time to do that, had the clock malfunction, whatever you want to call it, not happened. Right?
Yeah, I think it was going to be very, very close.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a putback, but
It
still.
yeah, it was going to be very, very close. Luckily, it didn't matter in the end. And I mean, they even had a shot at a putback right after that for the second free throw miss.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We really need to be better rebounding. Like every damn broadcast, they talk about how good of a rebounding team we are, and I laugh because we stink. Like, were we just that good with Hassan and Jordan that like this just seems awful now?
Maybe that's part of it. It's almost like big moment rebounds are the issue, right? Because if you look on paper, we are a pretty good rebounding team. But then you look at some of these game situations, and there have been times where we're just like, well, guys, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So I almost think like that's it. Like over the course of the season, we look better than we have in certain like big moments in big games.
I've been trying to look at Northern Iowa, pull up Northern Iowa. I have no idea what to make of this. I have no idea what is going to happen.
We'll get into it.
Yeah, it looks like Davidson West is coming to play us. You know,
That's great.
strictly
Just what we needed.
strictly visually speaking.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, let's yeah, I'm the I don't even want to talk about this game. I hate talking about losses. I'm such a poor loser.
Yeah, I don't know how much we actually need to get into the details of this one,
I
because it
just
could be.
I don't understand how like I it's how does a team like Richmond stop Davidson but we cannot? Is it basketball intelligence? Are we pulling in players that don't know how to make adjustments themselves? Or no, is it experience? Is it, I don't know, man. Talk to me.
So the thing, yeah, I mean, I have not. That's the problem with our matchups with Davidson is I have nothing but questions
All
coming out of
right,
these.
throw out your questions. I think
Well, I
we
mean,
need.
at a high level, why do it's what I asked earlier? Why do they have our number? Why can we not solve this team at all? Um, you look at some of the things that we do well, and you look at the things that they do well, and you kind of go. And then I've watched Davidson play several games this season that didn't involve us. And every time I watch them, it's like it's obvious. Like this is a really good shooting team. It's kind of what they do. They're not super tough. This seems like coming off the two games he had before, a game that Francis Okoro should really shine
Yeah.
in. It seems like a game that Linson could spell him and do pretty well in. It seems like a game that guys like Nesbitt and Hargrove could be productive at the rim, or Thatch and even Collins could get to the rim. I kind of look at Davidson and go, our points in the paint should be absurd against this team. It just should. And we're going to give up some threes. Fine. They shoot well. But we should defend them well enough in other ways. We should out rebound them by a lot. And it just never comes together like that at all. And for the first 10 minutes, it kind of looked like we would have played them tough. And then I think they hit back-to-back threes. And I'm trying to find these. Yeah. So it was Grant Huffman who hit them.
Yeah.
And it really was kind of late in the half.
Yeah, we really had an opportunity.
No, sorry. I got the wrong point. Okay. So they're up. Yeah. So this is where it happened. So when they were up 21-18 at the under 8 media timeout. And then they hit Michael Jones,
Who?
Mike Jones. Sorry, it's
Who?
Michael. Yeah, exactly. Stop it. It's Brockovich. So stupid. Brockovich. Fred gets a couple points back with a layup, and then they hit two more. So it was like 2 threes, interrupted by one of our layups, and then two more, and that was it. And then it was just off to the races. And that was in the span of about a minute and a half, right after the under 8 media timeout. Until the under 8 media timeout, we were in this game,
We really were. But I think while we were in the game because Davidson was cold, not because we were keeping up with Davidson. Does that make sense? Does that make sense though? Am I like, does the point make sense? Not that it's correct.
It does, but I still think we were doing a better job of guarding the perimeter, at least in our half court offense. And that leads me to kind of the other point here is those first 2 3-pointers that I mentioned by Jones, Brockovich, and then the next two. The first one was off on an offensive rebound that bounced out. Jones had plenty. It was kind of an unlucky, bounce, get it out to him. No one was there. Bang, And then the next one was in transition. Slew comes down, and all 5 guys, by the time Brockovich, has the ball at the top of the key to shoot, we've got 5 guys under the free throw line, and like I think 2 or 3 of them are facing the baseline. Like we're trying to get back, get set, and they've just got shooters ready. And that kind of killed us in the game at Davidson a few weeks ago. And here it is again. So it was the offensive rebound, and then it was transition defense. I thought until then, when we were playing more of a half court game against them, it was fine. They were getting some looks. They weren't perfect looks. They weren't great. We weren't giving them nearly as much time or space as we had in the past. And then once the transition defense started to catch up with us, it was all over.
Yeah, and we got killed on the boards too in this one.
And why?
I don't.
I mean, we give up height to them, but like we gave up height against everybody with Nesbitt, with French and Goodwin, and we out rebounded everybody with those guys.
Yeah, it's a defense and rebounding. It's effort, man.
Yeah, I mean that's right.
Hey, it's either effort or okay. So I think it's is it Ford not making adjustments, or Ford, is it a game plan or adjustment issue on Ford's end? Is it a game plan or adjustment issue on the player's end, or is it just plain bad effort? Or or are they mentally soft? Okay, fine. Let me rephrase that for the current climate. Are they are they able to get punched in the mouth in a game and not fold?
I mean, it's been a
That
problem.
seems that seems to be a problem, and
Yeah.
it's a problem with Davidson being that they hit us with a couple threes and we folded, and then there's the times where we folded because we were up big, and then a team started to get the ball rolling downhill for them, and we just couldn't. We were like Indiana Jones running from it, like.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, so that's a lot of it's a lot of different things to swing at. I mean, in
Yeah, no,
terms,
I'm throwing darts at a
yeah,
wall
no,
here.
I know. In terms of the coaching, look, I don't know. I mean, like I tweeted out like in the first part of this game, I was kind of like, hey, whatever we did is, or whatever we learned from the last game has clearly been gotten, because like these guys are playing twice as hard on defense. They look pretty tight. We're not hitting shots, but that'll come. We look pretty good. I was feeling really good up until like the 12-13 minute mark that we talked about. Um, so I actually thought in terms of coaching, like, oh, okay, this is a different game. We're not going to get out coached by McKillop again. And then it all went to hell. I don't know how much of that was effort, because by the end of the first half, it looked like we had already quit. The body language was bad by then. Um, so I don't know what that mix is. That's something for Ford and those guys to figure out. And one of the things that I noted about this game was, as far as we know, we're bringing everybody back, right? And we're going to have reinforcements too. So yeah, we lose Jones, we lose Linson. We don't know for sure about Perkins yet, but um, you know,
I thought it was
the
weird that I thought Stu's answer. Somebody asked Stu about, uh, whether he thought Perkins would come back, and he said, I would have thought he would have said something on Senior Day, but I mean, again, the recovery hasn't even reached the like. He hasn't even touched a ball yet. You know what I mean?
right.
So I thought that was weird that he kind of assumed that he wasn't coming back because he didn't announce it on Senior Day.
Yeah, I mean, there's still, and I'm hearing more things that make it sound like he will than he won't, but I'm still
Yeah,
hearing both. And it's just, what can you say about, like, what are his pro prospects when he's not going to be able to play at the time that everybody is supposed to be playing, to put themselves on display for pros. So I don't know. Point is, we're bringing back the same starting five next season. Davidson's going to lose Brockovich. They might lose another guy or two. I don't think Lee's going to jump to the pros yet. That's how I feel. Some other people disagree with me.
I hope he does.
Sure, but
I never want to see him again.
they're bringing in at least one recruit who's excellent, and two more who seem to fit the mold of Davidson. International guy, a guy who's 6'10. They're gonna be the same team next year. So like whatever this is, we've got what, 9 months or so
Yep,
to figure it out. Because
absolutely.
we're more or less going to be the same teams next season. And by the way, we're going to be two of the teams who people are picking to win the conference. So we've got to show better against Davidson, if we're going to have a shot to win this league.
100%. 100%. You have to figure it out. You have to win. You have got to beat Davidson one time next year. And my guess is it'll be a home game. So it damn well better be a home game. I'm tired of playing them on the road. It's an absolute joke.
Still never won there.
What do we have? How does the pairing go for home and home? Three teams have
Um,
home and home.
isn't it five?
Oh,
Because yeah,
well,
it's
okay,
five
that
because
makes
you do
sense.
an 18 game schedule. So yeah, it's five.
And now we have another team. So
And
I
now
don't
we
know.
have another team, so everything kind of gets thrown out.
Uh,
So yeah, who knows?
but I mean, we'll have home and home with Loyola for sure. That
Hmm.
that seems like a no brainer. But yeah, I mean, we have to play Davidson. If they don't, if they give us one game against Davidson on the road, I'm rioting. Bernadette McGlade will get a very angry email from me. Um, yeah, let's talk about the A10 tournament as a whole. The champion was crowned today, and that was Chris Mooney and Richmond. Uh, I I don't know. See, here's the problem. The Big East knows how to get more bids. Your number one seed falls off in the semifinals. They don't get to the final and shit the bed.
Yeah.
They should have laid over for us.
Anybody who's a conspiracy theorist in terms of like conferences fixing these tournaments to get themselves the most bids, I think this year may have been proof that the A10 does not know how to do that, or at least they're not doing it. Because it was certainly in their best interest to let us beat Davidson and then probably go head to head with Dayton in the final, and try and get three in there. I think that would have been our formula to get three. We beat Davidson, and then
We're too honest as a
we
conference.
beat Dayton in the final, and Dayton being somehow the first team out, as we learned today.
We're getting into that in a minute.
Yeah, we will, because that's malarkey. But at least if they win one more, face us in the final and lose, then we actually have a legit shot at three. So but at the same time, I'm not sure what anyone could have done in that game against Davidson to fix it in our favor, short of just fouling out their starting five in the first half mysteriously.
Yeah, that it's. So Richmond's a champion. They are going to face Iowa as a 12 seed. At large goes to Davidson, and they get the 10 seed, which I feel is they are underseeded
Mm-hmm.
versus Michigan State. Dayton is an alternate. Now, well, first of all, let's talk about MVP is Gilliard. It's Jacob Gilliard, 100%.
Yeah,
The rest of the tournament
no
team
question.
was Golden, Holmes, Brajkovic, and Lawyer. Um, but Dayton is an alternate, man. What the hell?
And,
This
and
I have theories. I want to hear what you have to say.
So what I'll say, so not only are they what they're called an alternate, and I guess this is kind of like COVID era terminology, right? Like they've got, instead
Yeah.
of just saying these are the first four out, they now call them the first four alternates, as if, I'm not aware of anything in the country in the last month and a half to 2 months, any team being shut down at all for COVID. So
No,
I don't think
I
it's
think
not gonna happen.
Daniel Ricciardo over in Europe in F1.
Yeah. So
He's like the only athlete on earth that has gotten.
I just I don't think any team's gonna at this point, if somebody tests positive, they're just gonna like, oh, he's back in his hotel room with the flu or something. They're not gonna say, well,
Right.
like no one's gonna say, hey, we're out for this, at least unless
Yeah.
there
No.
are extra safeguards. But regardless, yeah. So Dayton is the first alternate, first four out this year. I don't understand that at all. I mean, a lot of the bracketology kind of things I looked at, Dayton was anywhere from like 4 to 8 in terms of like how far out they were. I don't get it at all, and I don't necessarily like the message either, because they lose to Austin P, UMass Lowell, and Lipscomb. Right, well, those were the three in their second, third, and fourth games of the season. Um, they beat Kansas, so they've got that one like big shiny signature win. They lose a terrible game at LaSalle late in the conference season. The message here for me is not great, because if you're a kind of middling power conference team, some of which got in this year, like Michigan State, like Indiana, um, there were a few others as well, and I hate those. But if you're one of those teams, it's almost like, why would I play an A10 school if I know I can afford a few losses against a bye game at home early in the year? And there's nobody in my conference, if I'm, in a power conference, like LaSalle that I can lose to. So if I put together anything close to a 500 record in conference, I can even take a few hits in the non-conference year and still get in. It's just, I just don't like what their resume being attractive to the committee says about what they value going forward. So that's what really bothers me about it, in addition to the fact that I hate Dayton. So
Yes.
so give me your theories, because
Oh,
I think
you ready for
that's
the
just kind of how I feel about it, but I don't necessarily have theories on why it is. So I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, and I expressed these theories to you prior because I wanted to bring them up, and I think one of two scenarios in my head. First being that the NCAA secretly has minimum slots allocated. Now, it's not minimum slots allocated to a conference. It's not exactly like the Champions League where, a certain country gets X number of slots and that's it. I think for sure the NCAA views the A10 as a two-bid league at minimum, year in, year out. And the NCAA was prepared to put Dayton in as the second A10 team if Richmond lost today. And by virtue of Richmond winning, that pushed the A10 over their minimum. And now you look at the resume, right? And clearly Dayton's resume is not there, but they're going to put them as an alternate because of fan support and ticket sales, because they're going to, they're going to sell. Dayton fans are going to travel no matter what.
Yeah,
they really are. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, as much as I pure straight hate them, their fan base is passionate as hell.
But also, like, if they get that first 4 game, that's a home game. So it's not just ticket sales if they're playing, the first round in Pittsburgh or something. If they're playing that play-in game in Dayton, you've now sold out that arena and made it a crazy competition for tickets.
Yeah, absolutely. It just, I think, I don't know. I really don't understand it. But that's my theory. I think for sure, Dayton was going to be, I think they were just, I don't understand how you can throw out the first, that first part of the schedule and just say, I mean, look, if the Billikens would have beat Auburn, we had the better resume.
Oh yeah.
No doubt.
That's a great point, actually.
No doubt.
Unless Auburn,
I think I've said it on the show.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, the Billikens beating Auburn was a better win. Would have been a better win than the Dayton beating Kansas. And he said, like, we have, like, just based on the aggregate of, like, Dayton's bad losses don't equal our bad losses.
Right.
I don't know how else to kind of put it. But yeah, I think it's a joke that they're even anywhere near the bubble.
Yeah, I agree. I think I didn't think they would even be in the first 4 out. I thought they were in the next 4 out, like number 5 through 8. So I don't know. I'm just kind of grossed out by the whole thing and having to deal with A10 Twitter about the whole thing. And SLU seems to be their boogeyman lately.
Dude, lately.
Yeah, no, I know.
New here?
Over the course of the season, it has become very clear to me that SLU seems to be the most hated team in the A10. And I don't know if it's just because we're kind of an awkward fit in the conference. I don't know what it is, man, but they do not like us.
Keep bringing this conference west.
Yeah, give us more Loyolas. That's right.
Belmont. Bring Belmont through. I'm tired of this conference. I'm tired of all the fan bases. They all like... It's a big circle jerk other than us. Like, it just feels like any chance they get to shit on us, they shit on us. And any chance they get to just pump each other's tires up, they do. Like, It's annoying. It's
Well,
frustrating.
we would do better for ourselves to win the thing more often.
Yes, yes.
Because we quite frankly we have nowhere else to go.
No,
Is
we
is
don't.
the unfortunate truth.
Yeah, that's the inconvenient truth, so to speak.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some happenings in the A10, specifically coaching changes. Um, two so far.
Yeah, anyone who's been paying attention to UMass in the Matt McCall era, which hopefully is anyone listening to the show, should not be surprised by him being let go. He was on life support a couple of years ago, basically overhauled his entire roster, threw out his coaching staff, brought in all new people. You had some promise with Trey Mitchell and a young Noah Fernandez, and it never really materialized. It never really did. And so I think by this point there was, the writing was on the wall at UMass. So I certainly was not the least bit surprised there. That was actually, he would have been to me the most obvious candidate in the whole conference, even though they weren't necessarily the worst team. The other one was David Cox at Rhode Island. The thing that surprised me most there is how little money he makes. His base
Does he
salary
make
is,
more than me?
well, he makes, but I mean relative to D1
Yeah, no,
coaches.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, so
Well,
his total compensation is about 700, and his base is about half of that. So Rhode Island's only buying out a little over $300,000 to move on here, and the way Rhode Island played in the games where I watched them this season, like I just, man, I didn't see anything there. We've talked about this recently because we played them late in the season, and what a horribly coached team they were. I mean, like, he seems like a perfectly nice guy. He brought in a lot of talented players and just did nothing with them. So it's unfortunate. But in terms of guys who are still around, are you surprised by any?
Dambrot,
Your favorite.
send that homie packing.
But they
Um,
did the opposite, right? They
they oh, they didn't extend him, but I mean, he has the full him and Billy Lang. I thought Lang might have been gone too. I could have seen five coaches. I think I could have seen Cox, McCall, Christian, Dambrot, Lang.
And if Richmond didn't go on this miracle in in DC run this year, what would have happened there? Like, say Richmond loses
I
on
feel like
Saturday.
I feel like I just did like a recreation of the meme from The Wire. I
Yeah,
can't even do it.
he's rubbing his chin slowly for those not watching on YouTube.
Yes. No,
Uh,
I don't know, man. I don't.
yeah,
I think it's close. I mean, does Richmond really care that much about basketball? Is the question.
I think they do based
No, I
on
mean
the
not that they don't care about it. But what are their realistic expectations for a coach? Is the real question.
that's fair. Yeah. I mean, certainly that's a school. I think they have the biggest endowment in the A10, if I'm not mistaken. It's a very, very wealthy school, fan base, alumni base. They just renovated their arena within the last couple of years. It's beautiful. Extraordinary campus. There's certainly some level of commitment to what they're doing there, but they, at the same time, there's not a culture there that's like, if we don't make it at least once every 3 years, you're getting run off. I don't know what the expectation is there. So I guess they feel like they were robbed in 2020 because of the COVID year, so he's gotten a couple of years since then, and now, miraculously they're in, because I've been prepared to say, like, what a bust, this great class that they've had for like 5 years now. um what a bust that these guys never made a tournament, like
I
that
think
to
I
me would have been
tweeted
such
out.
a,
I mean, they came so close to losing to Rhode Island,
I mean,
and I tweeted out. I said losing to Rhode Island would be a fitting end to this class.
they came very, very close to losing today, against against Davidson, yeah, against Davidson. I mean, it really came down to final plays, and Davidson gave themselves every chance to win that one. So yeah, this is it's kind of incredible, and it's amazing the fine line between we're in the tournament and we're firing our coach and starting over. It really could have been that fine. So Mooney's another kind of funny case if we're talking about coaches in this league. And I don't think there's anybody, any coach in the league who's more polarizing among his own fan base. But maybe that's changed as of this afternoon.
I think my favorite thing that happens when like they talk, I think it's always in studio. Uh, they always have like the analysts are like, well, what do you think about Rhode Island moving on from David Cox? I don't like it. I don't think they gave him enough time. He hasn't gotten his play. It's the same damn talking points
Sure.
every time. It's hilarious. Like, because of course the coach that's the analyst on the TV is gonna tell you that
Because he's normally been through
because he
it.
got fired. He got fired. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who's been fired knows it sucks, and it's
Right.
it's you don't talk about other like that's I I don't think it took me a long time to get Jim Cruz to where I was done with Jim Cruz. It took me a long time
Yeah.
because I don't like talking about it. I don't. I don't.
Yeah, I know it's not a fun thing. And look, as ready as I was to move on from Cruz, that final press conference he gave, because didn't it basically was concurrent with that last game, right? And so he kind
Yes,
of gave
he
his
was.
press conference in the post game, and he talked straight for like 8 minutes about letting people down and how he felt bad and stuff like that. And you're like, oh man, like this is a human being, and this is the basketball program and the school, the institution I love that I've been so close with all these years. And it was hard to watch a human being up there having all of those complex emotions and feelings about what he'd done there in his career and everything. And it was just kind of like, man, it's really easy to get on a message board, to get on Twitter, to sit around and have a beer with your friends and complain about somebody and talk about how you need to fire him. And then you got to look a guy in the eye and watch him talk about, his family and his assistants and his players. And it's hard, man. I hate it too. I wish no one ever had to be fired. I really do.
Yeah. Let's talk about the NIT, man.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to say one thing. This NIT game will be the first Billiken game at Chaffetz Arena with zero health and safety protocols.
Congratulations,
I'm
I guess.
excited.
Yeah.
It's exciting, man.
Did it
Like,
really change much about your I was going to say, it's like I've never seen you at a game with your arms folded and a mask on, this, like, even this season. So like I,
no,
I don't think this probably doesn't, change
I'm
much
just
for a lot
glad
of
I
people.
didn't end up like John Stockton at Gonzaga or at Santa Clara. Wasn't that what it was?
Yeah,
Wasn't
yeah.
it
I mean,
Stockton got his tickets revoked?
yeah, so
Which
it's what
seems
happened.
kind of silly at this point. Like, because they probably took away all protocols over there. And never mind, it doesn't matter. It's just silly that they did such like a drastic measure, right?
Yeah, I
Like
mean, I guess they got to
of
make
like canceling his tickets. Like that's insane. Anyway, um, the Billikens are in the NIT, guys. Get excited. UNI 7 p.m. on Wednesday. It's on ESPN Plus for those out of town. Everybody, all the season ticket holders that listen, you should have an email from the ticket office. You can go in and buy your season ticket for the game. I haven't looked at the price yet. I would imagine it's no more than $20. If it's more, I'll actually look that up now. Pete, what do you think about this draw? What do you know about UNI? Anything?
Yeah, UNI is one of those teams. Coming into this season, they actually were supposed to be pretty good. I mean, people were, like this was I don't know if you want to call it a buzzed about team. I mean, it was definitely, the expectations were pretty high. I want to back up for a second. Just it looks like tickets are going to be basically 15 or $20, depending on where you sit. So just so people are aware. But so they come out this season and they lose two of their first three at home. They wind up losing 7 of their first 11 games. So they're 4-7 heading into conference play in the Valley, and really having disappointed, you know, basically everyone, because you know they were thought to be a pretty good team. Now, the one win they did have in their non-conference that was pretty good, they beat at then number 16 ranked St. Bonaventure 90-80. And that was at St. Bonaventure too. I remember that game pretty distinctly because it was kind of eye-opening, thinking, whoa, you know, like we thought this St. Bonaventure team was going to be awesome. And here they are losing to a Northern Iowa team that at the time was 1-3. Um, so it was really a tale of two seasons for Northern Iowa. They really did, um, you know, buckle down in Valley play. And say what you will about the Valley, it's a solid conference. They went on to win the regular season with a 14-4 record. They did have some problems with Loyola. Um, 2 out of the 3 times they saw them, one being in the Scott Trade Center in St. Louis in the conference tournament, they had trouble scoring against them. Loyola's an excellent defensive team. That said, the last game of the regular season against Loyola, at Northern Iowa wins 102-96 in overtime. So I don't know what happened to Loyola in that game, because they really are a good defensive team. Northern Iowa is a team that shoots a lot of threes. They can get hot. I think they're pretty experienced. We're doing this scout on the fly, just
Yes.
just so people are aware.
Who should we look out for Northern Iowa? Who are their top performers?
AJ Green is the guy. He's a senior guard. He's a local too. He's, well, I don't know, Cedar Falls, Iowa. Where is well, I don't even know what town Northern Iowa is in. I should know that. So I think it is Cedar Falls, actually.
Yes.
He scores about 19 a game. He also was their highest rated recruit out of high school too, even though that's been 4 years. He's an excellent player. And you've also got to look out for Noah Carter, who's a junior forward, 6'6". He's big. He's 230, scores 15 a game, and adds about 4 rebounds a game. And you know, they've got another senior, 6'5", 200, Trey Burhow, out of Minnesota, and he scores about 10 with about 5 rebounds a game.
Yeah, that's a big guard. I don't like big guards against our team.
Yeah, and so they do actually have some pretty decent size. They're not big inside, really. They've
They
got a
travel
senior.
well too. Their fans travel very well.
Yeah, and I would expect them to. I mean, they were just down in St. Louis last week, so I would expect them to travel again. Austin Fife is a senior forward. He's 6'9", 250. So he's by far their biggest player inside. You know, their biggest rotation player, I should say. They do have some big guys who don't really get in much. But he only averages 5.5, and about 2.2 rebounds. So they kind of have an interesting lineup in that they're 6'4", 6'6", 6'5", 6'4". They've got him at 6'9", and then they've got a guy, Bowen Bourne, who's 5'11", 170. So it's not really. They're kind of, I don't want to call them interchangeable parts, but they don't have a guy like Yuri, who's like their big assist guy. Nobody's got more than 2.5 assists on this team, but they've got like 8 guys who have at least 1 a game. You know what I mean? Nobody's a really big rebounder on this team. Nobody's more than like 5 rebounds a game, but they've got a lot of guys who are kind of in that 3 to 5 range. They really spread it out. And I think that's you know, that's something that's going to be a little tricky for us, because we tend to have a little more of a specialist roster, right, in this era of positionless basketball.
Yeah, it's. Ugh. I'm always gonna be nervous. It's win or go home basketball, and I hate it.
Yeah, and bad news for SLU fans here. this team is like
No.
this team is a lot like Richmond. They barely foul. They're 342nd
Oh,
in
I
fouls
th-
per game.
I thought you were gonna announce an injury or something.
No, no, no,
God,
no.
don't scare me like that.
Sorry. This is more just kind of scouting. I'm looking at kind of what they do. They don't foul a lot. They don't turn it over a lot. Like I said, they're not big, so they're just about last in the country in blocks. I want to see Okoro and Linson maybe pick on them a little bit inside in this one. They're not a good rebounding team. They're you know, they're a bottom quarter rebounding team. Especially, they don't hit the offensive glass at all. My hunch here, not having watched them much this season, but given that they average fewer than 7 offensive rebounds a game, we're probably going to see that kind of like Soderbergh Majerus thing where they just really don't chase offensive rebounds. They do shoot pretty well. They're 54% on their 2-point attempts. They're 35% on their threes, which is it's
Thank
decent. It's
God they're
top
not
third.
great.
They're not great, but they seem like a fairly efficient team that's probably going to kind of slow it down a little bit. If our defensive effort is like it was against Bonaventure and LaSalle, I don't know. This on paper, this looks like a team we should be able to handle.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, Northern Iowa, 7 p.m. Wednesday, Chaffetz Arena. If you've been holding off going to games because of the protocols at the arena, this is your chance to see the Billikens this year. Just point of fact, it is. Um, yeah, let's talk about the A10 women's basketball. Just give us a quick rundown of how this how the conference tournament finished and who's going to the tournament.
Yeah, so we've been talking all season about how, we had about 5 or 6 teams coming into the conference that were at the time teams that would reasonably have a shot to get in, right? We were not going to get 5 or 6 ever. We weren't going to get probably 3 or 4 ever this year. But there were a set of teams that could play their way into an at-large reasonably. And for the first time is it ever, or is it just? I mean, I'm sure it isn't the first time ever, but the first time at least several years, we did get an at-large bid on the women's side. And that's Dayton, because UMass won the conference tournament. They were one of the top 3 teams all season, along with Dayton and Rhode Island. And UMass was rewarded with a 12 seed in the NCAA tournament. They'll play a 5 seed Notre Dame, which is a little low for Notre Dame typically, and that's a tough game that they'll play in Oklahoma. And then Dayton, this is the first time ever there's the play-in round. Even though the men's bracket expanded, the women's bracket did not expand to 68 until this year. Dayton is one of those 4 teams that will play a play-in game to get in. Or sorry, I guess one of 8 teams that will play in a play-in game. Technically, they'll play DePaul. Both of them are 11 seeds, and they'll play in Ames, Iowa. The winner will play 6 seed Georgia, also in Ames, Iowa. So really nice progress from the women's league this year. I mean, just great to have a solid top half and to have a few teams that had a shot at large bids going into the conference tournament. Just great progress.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see that the women's basketball finally got 2 bids. It's been forever. I just wish it would have been the Billikens.
Yeah, for sure. Coming into this season, we probably thought things would have been a little bit different. Didn't work out, but there's always next year.
All right, Pete. Let's move on to baseball. This I give so much credit to Hendo and any baseball coach that's working up here in the northern hemisphere. Wait, the north of the Mason-Dixon line. Sorry.
Yeah.
North of the Mason-Dixon line. I really should have put that in the notes for that line, so I remembered it. But no, they have had such a fluid schedule. It's kind of crazy. The weekend series against IPFW, it's 3 games. They did get it all in, but what they did because of the temperatures, they played Thursday and Sunday. So IPFW's here practicing too. Like, it's just crazy.
Right.
They played 3 games against IPFW, a really, really bad IPFW team, who is now 1-14 after this weekend. The Billikens take 2 of 3. The only loss coming in a 7-inning, being a 7-1 or a 4-1 loss in a 7-inning game in which Trevor Harris took the loss. All earned runs were registered to Harris. That was on Sunday. That was the first game Sunday. Thursday, the Billikens win 5-2 versus IPFW. Run us down kind of what Billiken fans need to know about this one.
Colton Hutt got the win. Jack Weber got the save, and Cusimano and Fogarty both homered in this one. Fogarty, Vierling, Fitzgerald, Cusimano got the RBIs here. Just a solid all around team effort in that win.
And then obviously the loss, as I said, Trevor Harris got the loss. But we had at least one Billiken went deep in this one.
Yeah, Fitzgerald homered in the seventh. Unfortunately, just a solo shot, but you know, people love the long ball, so
Chicks dig the long ball.
there
Still
is.
one of the greatest sports commercials of all. Maybe the MLB should go back to something. Maybe they should rock the edgier commercials back in the
They
day.
they need to do something because there's nothing but ill will around that season right now.
Um, Chicks dig the lockout. No, 5-2 win this afternoon. Stop me if you heard that score before.
Yeah.
Uh, Run the Billiken fans down. What they need to know.
Yeah, Logan Schmidt got the win in this one. Fogarty homers, hits two RBIs in. Redding, Cusimano also pick up an RBI apiece, and Cameron Farrer picks up the save.
Looking ahead for baseball Tuesday. For those either working from home or able to, watch TV at work, the Billikens will be at Mizzou, and it'll be on the SEC Network Plus. It'll also be on the radio on KTGR. That's exciting, Pete.
Yeah, so you'll be able to stream that either of those ways. It's always exciting. We seem to have, kind of a one-off game against Mizzou every season. And I don't know. I feel like even though we don't always win, we kind of punch above our weight playing an SEC team, it feels like.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, there are quite a number of players on this Billiken roster that have come from Mizzou. So there will be a little chip on the shoulder there.
That's right.
And of course, Hendo's long been a St. Louis area guy. So he knows that a game against Missouri is important
Right.
to put your best foot forward. We'll see how that shakes out because the next day they have a game at 2 p.m. here back in St. Louis.
Morehead State comes to town for a one-off game on Wednesday. And, then we've got a weekend series against Austin P also at home.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see on that Morehead State and Missouri game if Hendo throws a staff game in both of them. A staff game for the maybe unfamiliar. It's when you set out and you're going to pitch, say, 4 pitchers. Each guy gets 2 innings. Generally, it's a middle of the week situation, and it's usually the freshmen and sophomores that get the run.
Yeah.
Softball, not much to talk about. Just one game played because it looks like the Fordham series was pushed to Monday. They played Northern Kentucky, I believe, on Tuesday, I want to say. Just run down the Billiken fans what they need to know.
Yeah, so in this one against NKU, 5-0 shutout. Chloe Wendling is the winning pitcher here. 3 RBIs for Kowalik, and then Swiderski and Etling also hit in a couple of RBIs. And like you said, they'll be playing Fordham on Monday.
Yeah, I believe that Kowalik had a 2-run home. She either had a 3-run home run or a 2-run home run and another RBI. But I believe she did homer. Big week on tap for softball. As we talked about, Fordham Monday, doubleheader, 11 and 1:30 in the Bronx. But Tuesday, they will play South Dakota at 5 p.m. here. A 5-game homestand this week. Busy week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. They will play South Dakota Tuesday, UT Martin Wednesday, Western Illinois Friday, and Saturday doubleheader. So big week for them. Not much to really talk about. I don't know what else to talk about softball.
No, they didn't do much this week, but this is an exhausting week. I feel bad for them having to play a doubleheader in the Bronx. And then, about 30 hours later, not even that. I mean, about 26 hours after you finish against Fordham, you're going to be first pitch at home against South Dakota.
And we know they're not flying private.
Yeah, I mean, that's just an exhausting week, man. I feel for them, but I guess that's early season outdoor sports.
As I've said, there's no way I would have graduated had I played baseball at SLU. I would never have kept my grades up. Not that I did anyway, but
It's true.
run us down the results from men's and women's tennis before we get out of here.
Yeah, men's tennis had a 5-2 win against Eastern Illinois, and then they dropped a 4-1 result at NKU, Northern Kentucky. And then today, a 4-0 result at Butler. They're 5-8 on the season now, and they've got a 10-day break. They just started, are just starting. They don't play again until March 23rd against Illinois State. Women's tennis, on the other hand, has been really hot. 7-0 win at IUPUI, 4-0 at NKU. I don't know what they did against Butler today, because they, like the men, they played there, but for whatever reason the result is not on Twitter, it's not on either of the team's websites. So I don't know what's going on there, but we'll update you. But leading up to this match, and Butler, by the way, is not good. They're 4-11, so hopefully that's another win, but I don't know. But the women had won 8 straight leading up to this one. They haven't lost since February 12th at Louisville. So basically a full undefeated month for them. And they've got now a 9-4 record, started 1-4. Really impressive season they're putting together right now.
Yeah, it's a tough sport. There really is no history or any history of success for tennis at SLU in general. So I always feel like women's tennis though plays pretty decently. Um, but yeah, anything else before we head out? I've been trying to see how to get my tickets while I have downtime here, and I have no idea. I'm gonna have to figure that out. So I don't have anything further to mention on that for Wednesday. Pete, anything you want to leave the fans with?
Couple of things. Everybody who can get out to the NIT game. I know it's the NIT. I know, we're disappointed about the result against Davidson and wanted another shot, at Richmond or Dayton for the title. But please get out there and support, the Bills in this last game. I'm sorry, probably the last home game, I should say, but hopefully not their last game of the year. Northern Iowa is a solid team, and they're gonna need every little X factor we can give them. The other thing I want to say is, in terms of the signed players who I mentioned last week still playing, Nick Kramer's SLU High team lost to CBC in the state quarterfinals. He had 14 points, ran into some foul trouble in the first half, so his season's over. But I did have an exciting thought that it really is only about 2 to 3 months before those guys start coming to campus pretty regularly to start working out for next season. So it happens fast. The other thing that's exciting is Sincere Parker, our JUCO signee, who's at Moberly Area College, the community college. They are playing in the JUCO National Championship this week. That starts, if you're listening to this on Monday the 14th, that is today. I hope you're listening in right away in the morning, because the game is an early afternoon game. I believe it's a 1 p.m. Central Time game. They're the 17 overall seed. They're going to take on the 16 overall seed, and if they win, it's kind of an odd bracket. I think it's a 48 team bracket, if I'm not mistaken, or is it? Yeah, something like that. If they win, they get the number 1 overall seed, which is Salt Lake Community College. So huge opportunity for Parker, who was the region and district player of the year. And he's a big time scorer. So let's see what he can do tomorrow, and hopefully make us proud.
Yeah. I'm actually excited for Wednesday. I really wanted to, anytime the Billikens play, I get pumped up. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But that wraps up the week that was in Billiken Athletics. Make sure you're following us on all social media, especially Twitter, at Midtown Mad Pod, at Peter is a Tweeter, at Zach Miller MMP. Of course, we appreciate any and all suggestions you might have for our show. Please go subscribe to the show on all platforms as well. If you haven't left us a review, that would be awesome too. Drop us 5 stars and and tell us how good we're doing, or maybe some constructive criticism. But the 5 stars is nice. As always, Pete, uh, go Bills.
Go Bills.